Welcome to another Robolink tutorial. So today we're gonna be doing the trailer bot. So real quick, if you haven't watched our beginning tutorial videos on how to use the components for on our kit, I recommend that you go back and watch them first before watching this. So um, basically today we're gonna be programming the trailer bot. This robot, the code for it uses the remote control. Um, so in order to move around forward, side to side, etc. So the code will look pretty similar to some of our other tutorials or other robots, for example the Bugbot. So if you watch that other uh, tutorial, things might seem very similar. There's a few differences and it's mostly on how to move left and right, but other than that they're pretty similar. So if you watch the other tutorial, you might be able to just skip around with that one. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So the very first thing we're going to add is we're going to add our smart inventor.h library. So for most of the robots that we make that include motors, we have to include this library in order to be able to use the motors. Next we're going to add two global variables. So these global variables are going to be for our um, LEDs. So the way this robot's going to use the LEDs is they're going to be our indicator to see what speed we are in. So the more lights they're on, the the higher the speed. And then the opposite is true. So we're going to make these two variables, and this is going to stand for the left side or the leftmost LED, and this one the rightmost LED. And then we're going to do some little clever thing to make it turn on one light at a time smartly. The next variable is going to be our speed, and so the speed is going to be pretty standard number, 50. Whoa, sorry about that. So it's going to be 50, and that's how fast the robot's going to move. And finally, we're going to make one final variable, and this one's going to be called key data. So this is going to be used for our remote. So the robot we're going to be programming right now uses the remote to move around, and the way that we're going to save the direction that the remote is sending, so whether it's up, down, left or right, or function 1 or function 2, is whatever information is sent from the remote, we're going to save into this variable. Right. So that's enough for our global variables. So void setup goes first, and then inside we're going to do a few things first. So like most programs, we're going to set up our LED lights to be outputs, since they're gonna be our speed indicators. And then because we're starting at a pretty average speed, 50, we're gonna turn on 4 of those lights. So we're gonna turn on 13, 14, 15, and 16. And if you notice over here, our speed meters are 13 and 16. So if we turn off lights, the left one is gonna be 14, and the right one is gonna be our left one is gonna be 14, and the right one is gonna be 15. And if we turn on more lights, the left one would turn into 12, and the right one would turn into 17. We'll see how that plays later on a little bit more. And then now we're gonna use setup so that we can use our remote control and our robot can use it. We're gonna use the smart inventor.tv remote con use. So this sets it up so that your robot can basically look for the signal that's coming from the remote. And we're also gonna do the DC motor use so that we can use the remote. Now, since these two functions are setting up and they're establishing which pins need to be used and all that, we're gonna give it a little delay here so it doesn't leave the setup loop too fast.